Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Old Iron Talk podcast. I'm your host, Callie Gurton, and today we have a special episode from Classic Green. We attended Classic Green last weekend, and I was able to talk to a lot of different exhibitors, vendors, and guests. I'm very excited to share those clips with you, but first we're going to check in with Miranda. How's everything going, Miranda?
It's good. We missed you last week.
Yeah, I missed being here, but it was really nice in Tennessee.
Yeah, I bet. We're jealous. Tennessee is one of my favorite places.
Yeah, me too. I do love the state of Tennessee. There is an awesome display, though, at Classic Green between all of the Model Ds that were there, the lawn and garden displays, toys, memorabilia setups, all the cotton pickers that they had. We really enjoyed seeing everything, and we were glad we could attend this year.
Yeah, it looked like an awesome show, and you also got to talk to some really cool people, didn't you?
We did, including some guy from New Zealand, so I'm really excited to share all of those clips with you guys today.
Yeah, it looked like an awesome show. But before we get into that, what the viewers really want to hear is our jokes.
You are correct.
Today, our joke of the day is, have you heard of the farmer who rides his tractor screaming about the end of the world?
I have not.
His name's Farmer-geddon.
Oh, man. I don't know how we come up with these sometimes.
Was that the winning one so far?
I think that might be the top one so far.
I don't know. You guys got to let us know what you think.
Yes, give us a vote here. I do want to say thank you to everyone that came up and told us how much they enjoy our podcast while we're at Classic Green. We do appreciate your support, and we encourage everybody to give us a follow no matter where you listen to our podcast. But I'm excited to share this episode with you, so let's get to listening.
All right, so we're here at Classic Green this weekend, and I'm here with Steve Clambeck today. Steve, can you kind of give us a background on yourself?
I'm from Kennesaw, Nebraska. I've been involved with Classic Green, I guess, kind of since they started and everything, and I helped them get going with the first reunion that we had in Grand Island, Nebraska 4 years ago.
Okay.
So, and I mainly collect and restore John Deere, what they call Generation 2 tractors, the 30 Series, 40 Series, 50 Series tractors from 1973 to the mid-80s.
Okay.
So,
how did you get started in, John Deere?
Well, we farm with John Deere and everything, but my dad started messing with old tractors when I was 3 years old. So I've grew up with it.
Yeah.
So I've been messing with it my whole life.
Yes.
So,
do you guys still farm today?
I still farm, yeah. My dad passed away 29 years ago, so he's been gone some time now. But, yeah, still doing the tractors.
Okay.
So.
And I know you had mentioned you have some memorabilia here, too.
Yeah, wasn't able, some plans changed last minute. I wasn't able to bring the tractors down I wanted, but I snuck some memorabilia down that I'm kind of helping put together the Generation 2 30 Series exhibit, and so I brought some memorabilia that was used at the introduction that the dealers did on August 19th, 1972 when they unveiled those tractors when they were brand new.
Very cool. That's awesome. Do you in particular have a favorite John Deere tractor?
Oh, that's a tough question. I never thought about that. I don't know. I guess one of my favorites in my collection right now, I was going to have it here, is a 4040 John Deere. It's a 1982. It's got 4-post roll guard, but it's got factory convertible narrow front, which is pretty rare. But what's also unique about it, it's a 5,000-hour original paint tractor, and it's for a 40-year-old tractor, it's in exceptionally nice condition. So, yeah.
That would be awesome to see. Well, hopefully you can bring it next year.
Yep, that's the plan. Yep, I hope so. So.
That would be great. Okay, how much have you walked around here at Classic Green? Is there anything in particular that really has caught your eye?
There's lots of neat exhibits. Yeah, we've got some very nice 30 Series tractors in our exhibit. I'm just looking out here over the crowd of stuff, and Bill Miller's 3010 LP with this cotton picker is just... It's one thing to restore a tractor, but to get that thing restored to the quality and condition, it's incredible.
It is.
So, I'm sure a lot of people are talking about it.
Yes,
so.
I think so, for sure. Well, do you have any future plans or anything you're wanting to add to your collection?
Oh, I say I'm about done, and then something always pops up and everything. So I don't know. I'll get a tractor done and say, I'm never selling that, and then a couple of years later I might sell that and move on up into something else. So if I'm looking for anything, it's probably some 50 or 55 series Deeres and everything. So yeah, I'd like to find a 4250 open station. That's on the list yet. So yeah, so we'll see.
Besides Classic Green, are there any other shows or events that you go to throughout the year that you really enjoy?
I enjoy going to Half Century of Progress in Rantoul. I haven't been there for a couple of years. Going to maybe try and get there this summer, and I got some local shows in Nebraska, Play Center, Nebraska, and Air, Nebraska that we do, but that's usually gets about it. Between farming, there just ain't been much time. So,
is there a dream show that you've heard of that you would ever want to go to?
Really, it's those two between Classic Green and Rantoul that's the ultimate. So this is a great event. They did it again down here. This is an awesome show.
It is an awesome show. Well, I appreciate you talking to us. We definitely enjoy learning about everybody's collection, and we'd love to talk to you again if you would like to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got Graham Howden now here with us at Classic Green. And is this the first Classic Green you've attended?
No, I came over to the first one in 2019 at Nebraska, Grand Island, Nebraska. I have been over to a number of shows prior to that, but this is the second Classic Green for me.
Okay,
yep.
Graham, can you let everybody know where you're from?
I'm from Christchurch, New Zealand, which don't confuse us with Australians. We are a separate country, and I live in the South Island, just out of Christchurch in New Zealand.
Okay, very cool. So how long is the flight over here for you?
Generally, if we fly direct into LA or San Francisco, it's about 12 to 13 hours. But this time we flew to Chicago, and that's around 15 hours direct from New Zealand. So it's a lot of sitting in an aeroplane.
Yeah, it is. That's a long flight.
Yeah.
Okay, Graham, can you kind of give us a background? How did you get into the John Deere community?
It goes back to I could say a good year in 1963 when I came along, and my father was farming, and he used to get affected by diesel fumes, and he went around all the agents in New Zealand at the time to see who would supply what we call a petrol tractor. Up here you call it a gas, and our local John Deere agent were prepared to indent a John Deere 2010 gas tractor for him. It was the only brand new tractor he ever owned. Probably the worst model he could have bought, but that's how it all started. So we were farming as I was growing up, and my father ended up with all John Deere equipment, which was a bit unusual in New Zealand because we, being so tied to the Commonwealth, had a lot of British machinery and local New Zealand made implements, and American equipment got very expensive in New Zealand. So it was a bit different to be like that, and we saw very few John Deeres come through in the 60s and 70s, and then they really started making a comeback in about the 1980s.
Okay.
So through that connection, my dad passed away when I was quite young. I was only 11, and we had a clearing sale. All the machinery got sold. Then once I got through school, I wasn't going to get involved with machinery at all. I was going to go down the vehicle line of things, but I started finding one or two rare John Deeres that got to New Zealand, and the first one I found was an AO Streamlined. It was in a children's playground, and we since know that there were only two of them imported to New Zealand new. I have the remains of the second one as well. So that got me starting collecting the rare John Deeres that got to New Zealand.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's an awesome story too. So thank you for sharing that with us. What did you guys farm when you were growing up? Like what kind of crops did you farm?
As a child, growing up on the farm, we were on rolling country in South Canterbury, and it was primarily sheep farming. with some crop, but my father wanted to get into more machinery and more cropping, so we were then farming, and primarily seeds-wise was grass seed, wheat, barley, clover, as well as still having sheep as a balance over the whole operation. And then, hay, mainly alfalfa. We call it lucerne down there. So, yeah.
Okay, so I've got to ask you, in New Zealand, do you see in the collecting world, like the younger generation, are they involved? Do you see a lot of collecting going on, or not as much?
There's a worldwide problem. I'm one of the younger ones, and I'm not getting any younger. Dare I say it, I've just had my 60th. It is a problem worldwide. I still don't know how to correct it. I don't think we will correct it. We've seen it in the vintage car movement as well, where vintage cars aren't as sought after as they were 30 years ago. People are moving into the classic era. That's happening with the tractors as well, and it's the same down our way as it is up here. When we were on the farm, my dad bought a couple of 2-cylinder John Deeres as collectible items, and that's what got us really started knowing anything about them and stuck with it. But having said that, I have progressed and got some multi-cylinder tractors as well now, but originally it all started out with collecting 2-cylinder John Deeres. Yeah.
Now, aside from actual tractors, are you interested in collecting any of like the memorabilia or the farm toys or anything like that, or not really?
I do have a small collection compared to up here of models or the farm toys, but probably the other main thing I've collected in New Zealand are John Deere implements. Again, because we were tied to the Commonwealth, we got a lot of British implements, and New Zealand had a lot of their own manufacturers, so very few American implements were imported to New Zealand, plus they would have been quite costly. So anything unusual John Deere wise, implement wise, I've tried to track and collect of what is in New Zealand. I haven't imported any implements from overseas, and I've imported about 3 tractors, but not implements.
What is the process for like importing from overseas? Is that like a long drawn out thing?
It's more difficult now than it was. It used to be quite simple, just shipping containers, a 40-foot shipping container stacked right. We could stack 4 tractors in it. Okay. Some dismantling, and then you'd fill as much of the rest of the container as possible with parts, spare parts that people wanted, implements. Some people broke down ploughs and put ploughs in pieces. Some people brought in models, but you would try and utilise as much of the space as possible. But at the moment it's not particularly on. The dollar with COVID and everything, our dollar is not worth very much. We're only buying 60 cents of your dollar. So this trip coming up here now is costing us basically double. So the last time I was involved in a container was 2013. Haven't done one since.
Okay, yeah. That's interesting. Okay, so you're here at Classic Green. Have you seen very much since you've been here? Has anything really caught your eye?
It's interesting. I have been up to a number of shows in the past. The first show I ever came to up in America was the Centennial, the 150th of John Deere, Expo 1, if you like to call it that, of 2-cylinder at Waterloo. Actually made some very good friends through that meeting at that show, some of who I'm still meeting. In fact, we've just had lunch meeting with one person, Bruce Keller, who we met back in those days. So and then over the years I've been to a few expos. Then the Collectors Centre that was opened in Moline, I was there for the opening. But this is the second Classic Green that I've been up to.
Very cool, very cool. Now in New Zealand, do you guys have shows like this or not really?
We have general shows, or we call them rallies, shows. Very few one make specific type shows. What we'll normally do is have a rally and feature something. So it might be one brand gets featured, but we just don't have enough equipment down there to be able to hold one-off events. We did a John Deere show back in 2010. It was just a private working rally on a farm. We had about 80 John Deere tractors there, and strangely enough, well, not strangely, but we had 10 Canadians came down at that time and combined touring New Zealand and coming to our rally.
Okay.
I've run into 6 of them here
No way.
this weekend. Yep,
That's crazy.
absolutely. We've kept in touch right through. And that was combined. The World Ploughing Match Finals were held in New Zealand back then, so we combined events.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is one special thing I would say about this event and any other shows. You definitely make collections or connections, and it's crazy how like those continue to grow throughout the years, and you still stay in touch with all of those people. So that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
So just touching on that, that is one of the main reasons I'm back here. I am with a friend who is travelling as well, but as you get older, it's more, as Classic Green says, it's about the people more than the machinery. In the earlier days, yes, we were chasing equipment, trying to find things, but now it's more about people. Right behind us are Travis and Shirley George. I met them in 1987.
Okay.
And we have kept in touch. We have visited. We've been to their place a couple of times now. People like that. And there's a number of people in this organisation and hobby that we keep in touch with on a regular basis.
Well, that's amazing. And I've got to ask, who did you bring with you?
The friend that's with me is Grant Moffat. Grant and I have worked together for a number of years, and he has just got out of a family farming operation and needed a breakaway, so we're up here.
Well, perfect. We're glad that you brought him too, so he could enjoy the show.
Yep.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to share while we've got you here?
Well, I will just touch on, as I said, what got me into the hobby, finding the first unusual or rare tractor that got imported to New Zealand. So that got me chasing the rare items. So just as a follow-on to that, the AO Streamlined, I think I mentioned there were only 2. I've got the remains of the second one as well. I've got a DI. There were only 2 of those came to New Zealand. I've got 1. We think the other one's been scrapped. BI, there were 3, possibly 4 came to New Zealand. We've located 3 of them.
Wow.
I've got 1 of them. A Barber Green 50, complete with elevator. Only 1 in New Zealand that we're aware of, and why it ever got there, who knows, but it's there. So that's in my collection. So that just gives, there's about 25 tractors in my collection probably, but anything unusual is what I've chased over the years.
Do you have these on display for people to see, or is it kind of just your private collection that you've been building yourself?
It's my private collection, and it's just based at home, but if there's anyone from overseas was coming to New Zealand, more than happy. I've worked in with a number of people in the past to show them around, give them directions to other collections, and as they tour New Zealand, because if you're going to travel in New Zealand, it's a big tourist country.
Yes.
You don't just come down there to look at machinery.
Well, that's fair. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Graham.
Not a problem. Good to be here. Thank you.
All right, so now we're talking with Marvin Steinbaker, and Marvin's been collecting lawn and garden tractors. Can you kind of give us a background? When did you start doing that?
Probably about 2008. And I started with my dad had a wheel horse that he bought when I was in high school and still had it, and that kind of got my interest going.
Okay. That's kind of funny and ironic. My brother actually, when he was younger and in high school, I don't really know what his fascination was with the lawn and garden tractors, but wheel horse was one of them, and he had quite a few when we were growing up, so that's kind of funny.
And I still have his.
Do you?
Yes.
Well, that's awesome. All right, so what was your dream purchase? Have you made that?
Yes. Didn't know it at the time, but it is now. I got a tractor called a Farmhand.
Okay.
It was built by Jepson, 1 year only that we know of, and I was the second person to find it, or to find one. There was one in Lyle Dumont's Oliver Museum,
Okay.
And a friend found this in a fence row. He was believe it or not, a John Deere collector. He wanted the 7-horse Kohler motor off of it.
Okay.
And when he got it, he figured out it looked different and strange. So he got a hold of a couple other people, and they figured out what it was. So then he decided he didn't want to tear it up.
Wow.
So he contacted me, and I said, sure. I didn't really know anything about it. And since then, been a very good purchase. And right now, we only know of about maybe 20 of them that are out there.
Wow, that's amazing.
Sure there's probably more, but it's and this has been for, I guess I've had mine about 6 years now.
Okay. Do you know overall how many they've produced?
That's the other thing, we can't find out anything on them.
Okay.
And we can only find out they were built, as far as we know, 1 year and one size.
Wow, that's incredible. That is definitely a unique find then.
Yes.
For sure. That's exciting. So how many do you currently have in your collection?
Probably about 30.
30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have like a mix of brands?
Yes.
Brand? Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Okay.
I got Farmhand, I have Oliver,
Okay.
I have Minneapolis Moline, I have White, the earlier whites, which are the light blue. I have a Jacobson, the Wheel Horse, and I have tractors that are called Springfield that were built in Springfield, Ohio. But we only have, they made a lot of different smaller ones, but these were just a certain, like a 7-year.
Okay.
They look like a small wheel horse, the early wheel horses we have. I said the Minneapolis I have some odd tractors. I have, it's called a Farm Crest, which was built by Springfield, but it was sold at Gamble's hardware store. And I have a tractor that was built by Springfield, well, 2 of them that was sold by Montgomery Ward's.
Oh, very cool.
So I'm kind of with the Springfield background with them.
Yeah.
And you don't see, and they only made the 2 for Montgomery Ward's, but they did make a few others for the Gambles. That was the Farm Crest.
Okay. Now, do you restore these?
Yeah, well, let's just say probably about 2/3 of them. Some of them are in good enough shape not to restore. Yeah.
Okay. And you do that work yourself?
I do some of it. I have a couple good friends that do the painting, and I always tell people I'm not a mechanic. I'm a parts replacer, and I do the rattle can. Some of the smaller anything that, like my Farmhand, I had somebody else do it.
I don't blame you
for
on
it turned
that,
out really look nice.
Yep, I don't blame you on that at all. Okay, so have you attended Classic Green in the past?
No, this is my first one.
Okay. And did you bring stuff with you or not?
No, I do not have any John Deeres, but my 2 good friends that paint are big John Deere people.
Okay.
And one of them wanted to know if I wanted to come and I could stay with him. He's a couple hours south of me. He says, come down with me and hook up and we'll go down.
Okay.
And I'm very glad I did. I've really enjoyed it. But I like all the tractors. I just don't have but the attachments on the John Deere garden tractors are really interesting too, which are some of them are change over to the other tractors.
Yes, that is true. Is there anything in particular that's really stood out to you that you've seen while here?
Yes. There's in the back of where they're set up, the guy has a John Deere that has a 540 PTO on it, but he's got it hooked up to a corn sheller.
Okay.
But it's not a hand corn sheller, and it's not a great big one that tractors. It's like the size for a garden tractor.
That's awesome.
I've never seen one, and it has a hay band tag on it, which is a regular. They did sickle bar mowers and things like that.
Okay.
And I haven't seen the guy there with it to find out more about it. But it's I think really interesting. I'd love to have it.
Yes. Yeah. No, that sounds awesome. You had told us about that the other day, and I haven't been out there to check it out. So
oh, that's right.
We're gonna have to go look at that for sure. That sounds cool. Okay. Where are you from? Let's let everybody know
I'm from Riverton, Illinois,
Okay.
which is just outside of Springfield, the state capital.
Okay.
I'm about 10 miles.
Okay. Awesome. So, are there any shows that you attend in Illinois, or any other shows that you really like to attend regularly?
Yes. Well, we go to Evansville, Indiana, which is a big garden tractor show. I mean, it's a regular show, but they have a lot of garden tractors. There's one in Penfield, Illinois, small town, big show. Go to it, and then we go to the Half a Century in Rantoul, yes. And then there's a big show in Portage, Wisconsin every year, and it's garden tractor only. And we try to attend, and they usually have about 900 garden tractors show up there.
Wow.
That's a good really good show, yeah. And we go to some other stuff around periodically, different places.
Yeah. Okay, so out of the brands that you have, is there one that you like is your top?
I'd probably have to say the Farmhand and the Olivers together. The Springfields aren't really worth value like the others, but I really get intrigued with them. They're out there, but not real plentiful. But I'd have to say the Farmhand and the Oliver. Probably because you get a lot of recognition out of them too.
Yes.
For one thing.
Very true. Do you collect anything besides like lawn and garden? Are you into the lawn and garden memorabilia or toys or anything like that, or not really?
No, not really.
Okay.
No. I do collect a few, nothing major, some signs, or things like that on my garage on the wall. But I have a lot of other farm signs and beer signs, some that light up.
Okay, that's cool. Are you looking to continue to grow your collection, or do you kind of like the size that it's at?
Probably not really grow. There's a few things I wouldn't mind having, but I've got a few things. I got one right now I'm trying to sell. So you sell a little bit, maybe buy a little bit. I'm kind of like a lot of people. I'm getting out of room.
Yeah.
So.
Seems to be a common problem people
Yes.
run into, especially in this hobby, that's for sure.
Yes.
Now, do you use like your own tractors, or do you?
A few of them I do.
Okay.
I got one of my old wheel horses and the Jacobson I just got, and I had one of the AC. I take to plow days and plow with them.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
yes. Yeah.
Well, that's fun.
Yes.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with everybody? We're excited that you came and chatted with us, but
I've never seen this many John Deeres in one place.
it's amazing.
And even though it's a big showgrounds, there's a lot of people here, and it's been good.
Yeah.
It's been really a lot of fun. A lot of fun to see everything.
It's been very fun, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's been warm, but it's been fun.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
yes.
thank you again for stopping by, and we'd love to chat with you again sometime.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so it's now Friday. We've made it to day 2 of Classic Green, and today we're talking here with Dave Jepson. He's here helping out almond auctions. How's your week been going, Dave?
Oh, it's going great. I got a good combination of work and pleasure going.
There you go. There you go. Everything's been going well. We thank you for coming here and helping almonds set up. Everything's turned out nicely, so that's good. Have you been able to walk around and take a look at things here while you've been here?
I have. I've been able to walk around the buildings. I've been able to take a golf cart ride on all the outdoor exhibits through the vendor area. I've gotten a good look. I got here early before the crowd, and I really got a good look at what was here. I got up close and personal and talked to a few of the exhibitors.
Well, good. That's good. Has anything really caught your eye?
It has. I'll say I keep gravitating back towards the D display, especially the early open spoke flywheel Ds with the bigger 26-inch flywheels. I keep gravitating back to those. I've gone and looked at them at least 3 times.
Yes, those are pretty awesome, and they've got a really nice display set up here too.
They do.
All right, Dave, give us kind of a background on yourself. Why are you drawn to John Deere?
Well, I was drawn to John Deere. My father and I collected John Deere tractors and memorabilia and toys for over 40 years. I was born into a collecting family. When I was 2 years old, my father had reacquired the family tractor that he learned to drive on, a 1938 John Deere A that my grandfather had bought brand new. And there's a picture of me standing next to it after he got it repainted and restored. And that started his passion in 1970. So I've been exposed to it ever since, and I lost my dad 2 years ago today, matter of fact. And Almond conducted some auctions for me and my father and the estate, and we had so many great memories, and that's my passion is still strong, and I'm really still enjoying the hobby.
Well, good. I'm glad. I bet he's probably excited that you're still here too, enjoying it as well. So that's good.
No doubt.
All right. When you look out, can you kind of tell everybody what we're looking at, and does anything really kind of catch your eye out in front of us here?
Oh, several things do. The effort that it would take, and just finding a machine of a cotton picker is a complicated machine, and to think of a machine of that vintage to be here on full display, and it's a large item in such beautiful restored condition, that catches my attention right away. The variety of tractors in this room alone, from early steel wheel tractors to new generation to generation 2. There's just a large variety all in one building, and that isn't counting what's outside.
Yes.
There's a large variety, but the gold John Deere D really catches my attention too, to know that's one of one ever produced in that configuration, and to have it right here in the same building as us. It's just from where I sit. And there's industrial tractors too as I look out, and steel wheel tractors, and just a large variety.
There is, yes. The variety is amazing, and I can't believe how many lawn and garden tractors are here as well. And then even the memorabilia displays, we went and looked at that yesterday some, and
Yes.
that's spectacular over there too. I know you really liked the setup that had all of the like parts racks and old parts hanging up, and they had oil cans. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's an amazing display that Daryl Cox put together. It has it all. It's a barn backdrop from the Green Acres, you know, the TV show. He's simulated that, and the amount of signs, oil cans, paint cans, tools that are incorporated into that display.
into it, yeah.
I mean, there's fragile items in there, and there's cast iron in there. It's not only fragile, and you had to be careful to set it up, but the bulk and weight alone of what it took to put that together. I honestly could look at that for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And just keep
there's
seeing.
so much.
Yeah.
You
there
definitely
is.
wouldn't miss anything.
Yeah, and it's so you can really appreciate it.
Yeah. Nope, we really enjoyed that. Okay, I've got to ask you a question that I tend to ask everybody. Do you
Yes.
have a dream John Deere tractor?
Well, I do, and I think that dream kind of changes
Okay.
as the collecting process progresses. I would say right now, I would go back to my original conversation about those early spoke flywheel Ds, the history of the Model D, the originality, and the rarity obviously is
Yes.
intriguing too.
Yes.
But on the other hand, not to be wishy-washy, I love them patio John Deeres.
Do you?
Those, the red, blue, yellow, and orange, they only made them a couple years. They are beautiful.
They are.
So what a wide span that is, from a spoke flywheel D to a patio
That
lawn and
is.
gardens. So I guess that tells you, I guess those would be a couple of my dream tractors right now. Yeah.
Have you ever had one of the patio series?
I never did.
You never
Nope.
did?
I'm fortunate enough to have one of the early 63 110s that's being featured here.
Yes.
But I never have had a patio, but never say never.
Nope, maybe one day.
That's
You'll
right.
Get it. I
That's
believe. Okay, Dave. Now, have you attended Classic Green in the past?
I have not.
You haven't?
No, I know it's
Wow.
hard to believe, but back to the conversation earlier. My dad his health was failing a little bit,
Yeah.
and he was my partner. That's who I did shows
Yeah.
with, and he didn't feel up to it, and I went to a lot of shows without him. Towards the end, but I just never made it to a Classic Green event, so it's my first one.
Okay, but you guys have attended Gathering Green before, correct?
Lots of them.
Okay.
Lots of them.
Well, good. Do you have a top show that you would like to go to that you've never attended?
Well, I've been to Mount Pleasant, Iowa, which I know is a big one. I hear a lot about the Florida Flywheelers in
Yes,
Florida.
I've heard a lot about that too.
And the older I get, I could probably find some other things to do in Florida after I
that's
take in the
no
show. So maybe that's the one I'd go to.
Okay, have
Yep.
you ever been to Half Century?
Yes, I live only about 45 minutes from Half Century, and I've been there multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. I've been me and my dad hauled tractors to Half Century, and I've actually camped there and spent the night there, and I've spent quite a bit of time at Half Century. I've done a little field work there too.
Have you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
I've
a
been
good show.
been lucky enough to attend that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now I know you also collect some memorabilia as well. Is there any item that you really sticks out to you in particular that you have or that you would want to add?
I am really interested in the match safes,
Okay.
the early celluloid match safes, and some of the early signs that I really admire those, and they're always top on the list.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy employee badges or buttons that have individual numbers on them that you could attribute to that particular employee. So those are some of my, and I guess I'm a sucker for any lighter or tape measure too. Lighters and tape measures are my favorites because there's so much color in them, and those were just given away.
Yes, they
So
were.
and a lot of them got beat up and destroyed. So to find those in nice condition with nice bright graphics on them, but I'd say those are the items that come to mind right away.
Okay. Well, Dave, we want to thank you for joining us here. We're glad that you came along, and we love always catching up with you, so we hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend.
No, I will. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're lucky enough now to sit down with Travis Wibben and his son Seth, and Travis has been a part of Classic Green and very strong part of implementing everything that goes on here at Classic Green. So Travis, can you kind of give us a rundown of how everything's been going this year?
Oh yeah, this has been a great event to set up, to work with the people here at the Wilson County Fairgrounds, to work with the local group in the area, the people from Tennessee and the surrounding states that have come up here and done so much work to get us, the schedule and the area, put things together, get all the planning done. It's just been a tremendous amount of fun. The people right here on the grounds and the local people, great folks. It's worked well.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Now, Seth, are you here because you want to be here, or are you here because you're kind of held against your will?
I'm here because I want to be.
Okay. Just had to check.
I didn't pay him to say that.
At first it was you need to come.
And here you are. So you guys have probably been pretty much everywhere, I would imagine, because you're pretty busy. But is there anything here this year that really stands out to either of you?
There's an 8850 and a Streeter D on duals. Those are the two, my two big ones. So I'm on Facebook getting ready to load them up.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of a John Deere D, so I'm in heaven this year. We got 56 Ds here. We've got 4 of the early large flywheel spokers. We've got at least 1 nickel. We've got, I believe, 15 spokers. Yeah, I'm in heaven. And every day, a couple times a day, we start them all up, just walking through, listening to those guys. Yeah.
Do you like tractors that are restored, or do you prefer the ones that are still original?
So I'm a big fan of the person's passion, and so I like both. If I have to prefer, I like them in their street clothes so that you can get them out in the field and get them dirty.
All right, now, do either of you own tractors? And if so, what do you have?
I do not own a tractor. I have a few pieces of literature, models, but I don't actually own a tractor. Hopefully here soon. That's the plan.
So you asked a question that could hurt.
Oh no.
Me.
Oh no.
So I have a John Deere D, 1934, full steel, extensions front and rear. It kind of came through the family. It's pretty special to us. And then I own 2 early farmhouse.
Oh.
I guess I own a Toro. A little lawnmower, but...
You sure you guys belong here?
Yes, I do.
Well, do either of you have a dream tractor that you would like to own?
For me, it's a 420 industrial high crop, which doesn't really exist. There's only one that I've ever seen, and I've driven it before, so
that's awesome.
That's mine.
Yeah, that would be sweet to have.
I'm going to split it up. It's either going to be a Waterloo Boy or a Galloway Farmmobile. I like the early stuff, the really early stuff, and Waterloo based.
Mm-hmm. Waterloo Boys are awesome. I do agree with that.
Yep.
Okay, can you kind of give everybody a rundown of what's to come here left this weekend at Classic Green?
Oh, if you're in the hobby and you've been to shows, what's left here is all the friends that you've met, all the people you've met that you are interested in talking to. We all have the same hobby, the same, passion, and all the people you haven't met yet are all here on the ground. So to me, it's just get out, interact with the people. If you like D's, you go up to that corner and all the D people are there. We've got cotton machines here. We've got the trivia night is yet tonight. Tomorrow night's the banquet. So there is so much left to come.
There is, yes.
Yeah.
We're very excited. There is so much here too, and the variety is amazing, between lawn and garden to the toy displays and the memorabilia displays that are here as well. It's amazing how much stuff is here. So Travis, how did you kind of start to get involved with Classic Green?
Well, so as I mentioned, I have a couple early farmhouses. So I really kind of got really going in the hobby with an F20, and I still have that. And I don't just like something. I mean, I really like, if I have a tractor, I like the owner's manual. I like the implements that pull and that kind of thing. And so I was never finding an organization that actually had more than just the one thing. The club would be focused on this item or that item or that item. And I said, well, why not everything? And I found a whole bunch of people, us that started up Classic Green, that had that same mentality is why can't we have a plow and memorabilia and toys and tractors here all at the same show?
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Seth, have you attended all of Classic Greens?
I went to the 2019 Grand Island. I was busy with work for Columbus, so I wasn't able to make it to that one.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite between the two?
Definitely here,
Okay.
without a doubt.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you guys talking with us here for a few minutes. Is there anything you would like to kind of share with anybody that we haven't discussed yet?
Just join Classic Green if you like the people and the collection and the hobby. And I love what you're doing, Callie. This is a great thing. Old Iron Garage, the podcast, the database. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, guys. All right. So we're here at Classic Green. Now we're on Saturday, and we're sitting down today with Charlie English Jr. and Charlie English III, and they are the owner of the 1937 Centennial John Deere D. Can you guys kind of give us a background on yourself? Where are you guys from?
We're from Evansville, Indiana, so it was about a 4-hour drive here.
Okay.
Yeah, born and raised there. Just love it up in that area. There's a lot of antique tractor collectors in that general area. In fact, our antique tractor display and shows started, right around 1969-70. So very, very good out around there.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, we're glad you guys made it down. Have you guys been to Classic Green in the past?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's good. All right. Did you guys kind of have any other tractors when you were growing up, or how did you get into having a John Deere tractor?
That's a great question. In 1968, my father, Charles Sr., bought a 1930 John Deere D at an auction. He bought it for like $160.
Okay.
And thankfully, he still has it, and he gave it to me for Christmas a couple years ago. And being the first tractor out of the thousands that he's collected and bought and sold over the years is a great thing.
Yes, that's very special for sure. That's awesome. Okay, so you guys are here with your Centennial D. What's the story behind that? How did your dad end up with that tractor?
Well, around 1990, he was at the St. Louis Toy Show, and he come across a table with these gold John Deere D's, unstyled D's. And Lyle Dingman and Dennis Parker had them there. And the tractor just caught his eye, and he said, why in the world would you have painted these gold? And so they showed him a September 1938 Implement and Tractor magazine article that showed a picture of what was said to be a gold leaf tractor with several people around it, including the John Deere dealer, Josiah Gooden, and the farmer who ended up buying it, G.D. Hancock. So Dad bought multiple toys, and he asked to get a copy of the story. Well, inside the story, there was mention of Kingfisher, Oklahoma, G.D. Hancock, and Josiah Gooden. So from that information, he went on the search for the tractor.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so he went on the search for the tractor.
Yeah.
Did he find it?
Yes. How that worked out in the picture, there's several people in the picture that was in the magazine. The biggest boy was named George Gooden, and so Dad was thumbing through a High Plains Journal magazine, I believe it was, and in the magazine there was a Ford truck dealership with a phone number. So Dad called that phone number, and the lady that answered the phone, and Dad said, may I speak to the oldest employee? And she knew right away who that was, so she went and got him, and he came to the phone, and Dad mentioned some names from that article, and he said that he knows George Gooden, the grandson of Josiah Gooden. So George and Dad got to talking, and George vowed to help Dad find the tractor. So George had a friend at the newspaper write an article, and the Beecher family saw the article in the newspaper, and so ended up the newspaper came to the Beechers, did a big story about the tractor, and the Beecher family and Dad got together, and the gentleman, Mr. Beecher, offered the tractors to sell to Dad, and Dad went to get it. But as soon as Dad got there, Mr. Beecher decided he didn't want to sell it.
Oh no.
But Mr. Beecher and his family got to be really good friends with Dad, and they talked all the time. Mr. Beecher, we'll call him Senior, ended up passing away about 5 years later, and then Junior ended up with it. And unfortunately, he passed away about 2 years later. And then the family, they got to know Dad pretty well, and they contacted Dad and agreed to sell it to Dad. And so he went out and got it and started restoration right then. As soon as he got home, he started restoration.
That's amazing. And when you guys got the tractor, could you see evidence of the gold paint still on it?
Yes. That's kind of a wild story. When that tractor was sold from the Josiah Gooden John Deere dealership, the tractor worked really hard on the Hancock farm. Really hard. We have pictures of it out in the field. Thankfully, we got some of those, and
awesome.
It was worked really hard. The tractor was then traded into Vythe Brothers Massey Harris dealer in 1955. And the Massey Harris dealer didn't know why it was gold, but knew at that point in time it needed a fresh coat of paint. So what they did was they top coated the gold with new green paint. Okay. A part-time farmer mechanic was there, and he wanted the tractor, so he bought it, and that was Mr. Beecher. So he took it home and he farmed with it again very hard. And by the time in 1970 when they stopped running it, they put it in took it apart to restore it, but they just kind of lost interest in doing the restore job. So whenever Dad went to look at it, there was still paint. One place in particular was on the crankcase breather. Their stack, there was gold paint there under the fenders. Anywhere that a person that didn't take much time painting, their gold was still there. To get the correct color code, we took a paint sample that was above the drawbar. It was protected from the sun, and that's how we got the color code.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, did you guys restore it yourself, or did you have somebody else do that?
Well, all the mechanical inside and out was done by my dad and us boys helping. And then the paint, we had Joe Hoffman of St. Anthony, Indiana, paint it. We were told that gold is one of the hardest colors to paint. And with this particular tractor, we wanted a base coat, clear coat. We wanted to go all in. And none of us really had experience at the time of doing that. So, this was like 25 years ago when we restored it.
Okay, so you've had it in your family then for how many years?
Oh, yeah, 26 years,
okay.
Yes.
That's awesome. And how many shows have you taken it to?
About 120 at this point in time. We've been up to Canada with it, Florida, back out to Oklahoma where it will spend most of its life. I hope that what we're doing is similar to what John Deere Company did back in the day, to celebrate the 1837 to 1937 Centennial and how they displayed it. And, we're trying to keep it showroom new and for everybody to enjoy.
Yes. No, I think that is great what you guys are doing with it.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're at Classic Green, and I know there's a story behind how you got this tractor out of previous Classic Green. Would you like to share that with everybody?
Yeah, so about 4 years ago, when we were out at the Classic Green reunion at Nebraska, during the banquet, my grandpa actually wrote me like a little letter that basically explained and that he wanted me to have the tractor. So I went up on stage and I read that, and it got quite emotional, actually.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
How old were you when this happened?
I would have been 12.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I'm sure that was, very emotional for everybody.
Yes. And if you want to see the video, you can check out 1937 John Deere Centennial D on the Facebook page. There's all kinds of information and pictures of the tractor there.
Now here too, you guys have a smaller model of this tractor. Can you give me a little background on that? Did you guys build that, or where did that come from?
You know, I think when my dad was done restoring with the Centennial John Deere D, he must have been bored. So he built him a half-scale John Deere D to share with his grandkids, and it took a lot of time for him to get it done, and so that was the goal, to have something for the youngins to drive, and he did a really good job on it.
Yeah, it looks amazing. So what kind of an engine is in that?
It's got a little 3-horse Briggs & Stratton and a John Deere 316 rear end, so it's hydrostatic drive. You push the clutch lever forward, it goes forward. You pull it back, it goes backwards.
Okay.
And then he's also got the 1837 replica plow that he made to kind of go with the 1937 Centennial items. Speaking of Centennial items, you know, we have a lot of little knick-knack type stuff from the Centennial, the paperweights, the wall plaque, bullet pencil, necklace, watch fob, ashtray, pin-on buttons and stuff. All very collectible. Thank goodness for eBay, because you know, I don't know how I would have ever found them without eBay.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so the display that you guys have here is great too.
Well, we try so hard.
It looks good.
We
It
really
looks
do.
Good. So, do you have a top show that you've been to out of the ones that you've attended?
Oh my gosh, you know, they're all excellent. The Classic Green guys, though, are just so helpful
They
and
are,
nice, both at the show and, you know, over the internet, just talking, and the willingness to, you know, as they say, it's all about the people, and I'm 100% sure that is what it's all about with these guys. Yes. They're great, but you know, I like all the shows, and you know, and honestly, I like all the tractors too, all different colors. So,
do you guys have any other tractors in your collection?
Yeah, why don't you tell them about your big one?
Yeah, so I have a Altman Taylor.
Oh, do you?
And we actually restored it and took it to a fair as a project. Is that 3 years ago?
About 4 or 5 years ago.
So
that's awesome.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 1918 3060.
Okay, that is awesome. That's a big one then.
Yeah, and then we got a very rare C Industrial narrow tread case.
Okay.
We have an Industrial B Alice Chalmers, and we got our main work tractor is a 706 Farmall gas, and a couple others out in the back shed that are needing a little bit of help. So altogether, probably 8 or 9.
Okay, that's awesome though. It's great that you guys have been able to come together with this too, and that you've kept it in the family. Continue to keep it in the family, so that's great. Okay, let's also kind of share, I know you guys have another thing that's called Playing Hooky. Can you explain to everybody what that is?
Yes, as I started having kids years ago, I wanted them to enjoy the sport of pedal tractor pulling. I know personally when I was a child, I had a Ford 8000, and I used to pretend to tractor pull with it, you know, 50 plus years ago, and I would just pull a wagon and pretend it was a pulling sled. And I just really enjoyed it. So whenever I started having kids, I wanted them to have a sled, so I built the sled. And it didn't take long to realize that, you know, with these pedal tractors, they really need a little gear reduction. So I went ahead and built them a custom Case IH tractor, and so it was geared right. And then after that, I thought, well, the kids started getting bigger, so I made them a John Deere 5020 pulling tractor with a stretched frame. And then I realized that kind of need a tractor in between the two, so we built a D21 Alice Chalmers pedal tractor. And about that time, I found out about the National Pedal Tractor Pullers Association. And I just became a member, and now I'm in charge of the state of Kentucky as far as sanctioned pulls, and then I put on the state championship pull. And then, not too long ago, we were always kicking around building an adult tractor, or big kid adult tractor. So then we built a V8 blown mini rod style tractor, and so now we offer adult pulls too, which has been a really big hit. Right now we're doing about 30 shows a year, and honestly I really don't want to do two more with a full-time job and everything. It's a little too much.
That's a lot, yes.
But we can go up to 800 pounds on the sled, and but it's been really a neat thing to do. It's taught us a little bit of business skills and stuff, and it's just been a joy.
Well, good. That's great too. I have one more story that you kind of shared with me earlier that I want to share with everybody. You said that there was a lady that had reached out to your dad at one point because she had gotten a John Deere D herself and she wanted to paint it gold for her dad. Can you give us kind of the story behind that tractor?
Yes, there's a lady out west, way out west, I think it was in Arizona, that called Dad, and she says, would you mind if we painted our John Deere D gold? I just love the looks of yours. And Dad said, oh, absolutely, it's your tractor, but please don't claim it to be the Centennial D or any part of the Centennial. She says, oh no, we won't do that. So they painted it gold, and she gave the tractor to her dad. And then about 10 years later, her father passed away, unfortunately. And they decided to sell the tractor. And although I really didn't want Dad to end up with it because of the confusion of the two tractors, he ended up buying it. So now he's got a gold John Deere D he can go plow with and tractor pull and just kind of roughhouse with.
I'm sure he enjoys that.
Yeah, parade with and stuff. Yeah.
Well, you guys do have an awesome story and you have a very unique tractor. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing that with everybody.
Thank you very much.
We enjoyed talking with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're here with Dave McCachran. He's been attending. Have you been to past Classic Greens before?
I've been to Columbus. Unfortunately, I did not make the show out in Nebraska, the first one.
Okay. Heard that was a good one. So
that's what I hear too. Yeah, I missed the first Gathering of the Green. I missed the first Classic Green reunion. So but I haven't missed either of those since.
Well, that's good. That's good. Okay, so can you kind of give us a background on yourself? How did you get into the collecting world?
So, I grew up on a farm, playing with farm toys as a kid, but when I was about 10 years old, our local fall fair had a farm toy show at it, and I saw some of my neighbors had some toys on display, and I thought that's pretty cool, and so that weekend I went and bought my first farm toy, and it's kind of taken off from there.
That's awesome. So what was your first farm toy? Do you remember?
Yes, I do. It was a Waterloo Boy. I think it was the collector edition Waterloo Boy toy, and it was the first toy I tore out of the box, threw the box away, and kept the toy, and that was the first and last box I threw out.
Okay. All right, I've been asking everybody too because we've got some people from all over. Where are you from?
So I'm from Glencoe, Ontario, Canada, which is far south of most of the northern states, which those folks don't like hearing that when I say I live south of them if they're from Minnesota, Wisconsin, or anywhere like that. I live just east of Detroit, Michigan, just above Lake Erie.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so when you were growing up, was there anything in particular that you really wanted? Did you have anything really unique when you were growing up?
I'll tell you what I wanted when I was a kid growing up was to trade residences with my good friend who lived in town. He was about 3 doors down from the John Deere dealer, and him and I had a plan that we were going to swap houses. We were probably not even 10 years old. I was going to go live with his parents, and he was going to come live on the farm. He loved the farm, loved to come out and cut grass, and I just wanted to live close to the John Deere dealership so I could walk there every day.
That's hilarious.
I eventually ended up working for the John Deere dealer after when I was in high school and after college for a bit before I came home farming full time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that would have been
That was a want.
Did you ever try to actually pull that off? Or?
No, but I, it's funny. We're here at CGR 23, and I actually got something that I've been looking for many, many years. Okay. And as a kid growing up, especially at night driving into our small town, I would see that giant lit up John Deere sign up on the post from the 1980s era. And I've always said, man, I would love one of those. And the first day of the show here, there was a vendor had one, and him and I came to an agreement, and I now have one of those signs, so I'm excited to get that home and someday get it mounted and backlit, and that's an iconic sign for me as a kid growing up, so super happy to have acquired that on this trip.
Awesome. Okay, so yes, we are at Classic Green 23, and I assume you've probably been all over the place. Is there anything that's really stood out to you?
So I haven't been everywhere. I'm on the show committee, so I'm very busy doing many things, helping to organize the show, and so it's a challenge to really thoroughly enjoy the show when you're on the show committee. But I've toured around the grounds. I think I've seen 90% of the exhibits. There are some amazing pieces here on display. There's a 430 high crop propane tractor that I'd love to take home. That one caught my eye the first day. I think it was here the first day I landed here a week ago, and that's been a challenging one to compare. There's some cool cotton pickers here that are also intriguing to me.
They are awesome. Okay, so do you have a collection currently?
I do. So I have a large collection of farm toys, a pretty significant collection of paper, literature, memorabilia, and I have somewhere between 30 and 40 tractors in my collection. Yeah.
All John Deere?
All John Deere. We do have one. The first tractor on the farm my grandfather bought in 1945 was a Farmall A. I restored that tractor in 2002. Was the first tractor I ever restored, and we still have that tractor. It's the only red one on the farm. But yeah, my tractors other than that are all John Deere. There's a bunch of them that aren't green. I chase after the yellow and orange and odd colored Dubuque built tractors. So there is.
Do you have a favorite series of John Deere?
Yeah, so I try hard to focus on Dubuques, kind of the 40, 420, 430 series. I do have a few Waterloo tractors, industrial ones for the most part, but I try and focus on Dubuques to keep things under control, which is hard.
That is fair. If you could purchase any tractor, what would it be?
Wow, that's a good question. If I could purchase any tractor, a dream tractor to own would be a no longer in existence experimental 3010 crawler, which they only built 2 of. I met the employee who was tasked with destroying equipment for John Deere and putting it through its paces, and he told me that he was the one that ended the 3010 crawler project by driving it over a bunch of railway ties. So it was really cool to meet him at a show like this and chat with him and talk about the two samples that they built of that unit. That would be an ultimate holy grail.
Okay, that would be awesome to have. So I assume you've probably been to quite a few shows then. Obviously, Classic Green is a great one. Gathering of the Green is a great one. Are there any others that are in your top?
Yeah, so these are the granddaddy shows. This show definitely for a summer event with a lot of exhibits takes the cake. Gathering of the Green is a phenomenal winter event, more of a social and interactive learning experience type of event, which is great. Other than that, toy shows are kind of more. I do a few tractor shows at home locally. I don't get down to too many other big events like this, but some significant toy shows. The National Farm Toy Show in Dyersville has been back on my schedule since my career has shifted and changed. So I am available to travel in November now. St. Louis Toy Show at Gateway Toy Show is a phenomenal, good old toy show. As is the Sioux Falls Toy Show. Lafayette Toy Show is one I haven't been to, and it's on my bucket list to get to. So they're good, fun, large farm toy shows here in the U.S.
Do you have any local shows where you're from that you like to attend?
Yeah, we've got several small town local shows. I organize one at home in my small town, and yeah, they're fun. Those are kind of wintertime things. Summer-wise, we have 2 or 3 John Deere collector clubs in Ontario, and they each have an annual show. I sit on our local club board and am involved with doing and organizing that show, and that's one I drag most exhibits to ever is our local show. It's usually an hour or 2 from home, so I've dragged up to I think 12 or 15 made it to last year's show in the summer, so that was a big undertaking. But maybe some year I'll host the show, and then I can just pull them outside and don't have to drive them anywhere.
Now, do you ever have anything here at Classic Green this year?
A heavy vending booth. So I'm here selling literature. I brought my camper, but I did not. Oh, and I guess I am exhibiting. I have a display in the Made in Tennessee building, which is full of farm toys, literature, and memorabilia displays. And I have I think it's about an 8-foot long glass cabinet that's full of John Deere D, which is one of the features here. John Deere D toys, memorabilia, and literature.
Okay, awesome. Is there anything in your toy or memorabilia collection that you're really looking for to add?
Yes. So I've recently, in the last few years, began collecting the Vindex toy line, which are from the 1930s. I am looking for the drill, the little Model E engine, and the large combine. Those things are definitely on my keep an eye list, but those are large investment pieces too. So when they come up, sometimes it's not always suitable to purchase them, but I try.
Yes, well, that's good. Well, we want to thank you for joining us here today.
Thank
you.
you.
It's been great chatting with you, and we'd like to catch up another time if you'd like to.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're here with Doug Guthrie, and he is a part of Smith Farms Restoration. Doug, can you kind of give us a little bit of background on yourself? How did you get into the tractor world?
I was a young kid. Dad always had some tractors that I always worked on. Over the years, I've always done mechanical work for folks. I used to farm for a large outfit. 10 years ago, I retired from truck driving, and they asked me to start up a tractor restoration business. In that process, we started that in April of 2013. We got customers all over the United States. It's just great working with the people. It's great being at the national shows and the county fairs at the small shows, meeting the people from all colors. We are an all-color shop. We do specialize in green ones.
Okay.
So it's been a very fun and adventurous journey.
Now, the farm that you helped, did they farm with John Deere, or what kind of equipment did they use?
Yes, back in Marion, Ohio, where we're from, they actually started in the mid-70s the John Deere store.
Okay.
The family did with another family. Both families have then retired, sold the business, and they do farm with green.
That's awesome. So did you bring anything with you here to Classic Green?
Yes, we did. We only brought one tractor. It's a 1976 4230 front wheel assist power shift transmission.
Okay. And is this one that you restored yourself?
Yes, I was actually hanging parts on it Wednesday morning while it was loaded on the trailer.
That's
so
awesome.
it's we just
Real
got her
fresh.
done. Yeah, the paint was a little wet.
Yeah.
We're going down the road drying it.
Okay. Now, I know you had mentioned the tractor next to yours. There's a story behind that, too. Can you share that with everybody?
Yes, for the folks that are down here at the Classic Green in Tennessee, there is a 4230 low profile. I restored that 7 years ago, and a gentleman bought it out of North Carolina, and we are parked right beside it, so it's kind of a neat pair.
Yes, that is awesome that you're right beside it, too. Okay, have you been to past Classic Greens?
Yes, my boss 2 years ago was one of the directors at the Columbus, Ohio show.
Oh, okay, awesome. So have
And
you...
at Grand Island, Nebraska too. Yes.
Yep. Have you been able to walk around, or have you kind of stayed in this building while you've been here?
I've been all over the grounds at least 3 or 4 times, and there's always something I miss. So
yes,
I do it about 3 times a day, and I see something that I haven't seen.
Different every day.
And then talking with the people, and it's a very nice, very beautiful fairgrounds.
It is. This fairgrounds is, yes, very beautiful. Is there anything in particular that has stood out to you while you've been walking around looking at things?
I would have to say that the 2 cotton pickers, there's one right here in front of us, there's one outside. The Gold D over there, pretty unique tractor. One thing you notice is a lot of people from southern United States bringing a lot of vegetable tractors in here that from being in the North Country, we don't get to see. So it's a wonderful opportunity to see a very wide variety. There's a lot of high crops here. We don't see that in the northern states. So to pinpoint one, I'm not sure. I just love them all.
Yes. Well, that's fair. Is there a dream tractor that you have that you would like to own one day?
I would have to say one of them we sold was a one of three made. It was a 1972 4320 John Deere Highway Yellow, front wheel assist from the factory.
Okay, that's awesome. So, in your restoration business, what's one of the hardest tractors you've ever restored? Like, what one gave you the biggest challenges?
Any tractor, I won't just name one. Any tractor was built in World War II is going to probably be one of the toughest ones, because obviously there was a steel shortage. The manufacturers back then had to use the parts they had, no new models.
Yes.
So what you run into is your parts, you get several different parts and part numbers, stuff don't match up. So them wartime tractors are the toughest, in my humble opinion. And when I talk to restoration guys across the United States, after I bring it up to them, they all agree.
Yeah. Okay. How can people find you in your restoration business?
Smith Farms Restoration is on Facebook. We're in Marion, Ohio, about 50 miles north of Columbus, Ohio. You want the phone number?
Yeah, you can tell them the phone number. Yep.
Our shop line is 740-386-2980.
All right, perfect. Okay, what other items do you have in your collection besides what you have here with you? Do you have anything else?
We have open station standard 4430, no 3-point swing drawbar. We have a open station 4430 front wheel assist. Both of them are waiting to get in the restoration shop, so I've got about 6 in front of them before them 2 get in here.
Okay. I'd say you're probably pretty busy then.
Yes, and I've been talking with some other restoration guys, and there's a big boom on right now.
Is there?
Yeah.
Do you like to collect anything else besides tractors? Are you into the memorabilia or toys or anything like that?
We have some memorabilia in our one office. It's pretty well filled up with memorabilia. I make custom pedal tractors, and that's a lot of fun doing them.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I can carry them in one hand, and I can do them in about a week or two. So
yeah, probably a lot different than when you're working on a real tractor.
Yes. A lot less parts.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, well, we're here at Classic Green. Now, is there any other big event or show that you enjoy going to every year?
Oh, yes. Half Century Progress Show in Rantoul, Illinois, which is every other year. So we'll be out there this coming August.
Will you?
Yes.
Well, we will too, so hopefully we'll see you there again.
I got a couple tractors I did for customers that's going to be there, so that's always fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you, when you take your tractors, do you take them to like working shows like that? Do you ever go out and take them out plowing or anything like that?
No, not my boss man's, no.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Because I'm the one that has to clean them.
I was going to say, you're probably the one that has to take care of them at the end of the day. Is there any local shows in your area that you enjoy going to?
There is some local shows in Ohio that we try to hit. Our schedules are busy because we do farm 4,000 acres, so between getting the crops in, playing with the weather, then comes weed harvest. So
yeah, I'm sure you guys have plenty to do.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Well, we want to thank you for joining us, and we encourage everybody to go check out Smith Farms Restoration and let Doug know if you have any questions. So we're here at the Lawn and Garden buildings here at Classic Green, and we're actually here with Brandon, who's a part of Lawn and Garden Tractor Magazine as well as Halfco Parts. We've actually been trying, as we've said, to add Lawn and Garden to the Old Iron Garage database, so that's been a big undertaking. But we will get there eventually. It's just a lot of data to entry as well. So Brandon's got a couple things here, and he's going to kind of explain those to us. So Brandon, I know you've got a prototype standing by behind us. Can you kind of go over that for us?
Sure. This tractor was built at the Moline factory back in 1962. There were 2 of them built. They were then moved up to the Oricon plant, where they were then basically disassembled, and they built the patterns and everything off of the prototypes. So there was actually another 3 more, I believe, that were built up at Oricon once they took these up there. So. Yes, it says run. It says run on the back, and according to one of the retirees that was part of this group that put this together, it was actually a stencil from Van Brunt, from the wheat drill, and they just cut it off at the last letters of it and put it on the tractor and called the tractor Run.
Well, that's unique. Now, do you know of any other prototypes like around?
Yeah, there's, I'm going to say at least from different periods, probably a dozen have showed up, something like that.
Very cool.
So,
Very cool. All right, do you have anything else here that you brought?
no, this is it. I did. You can see these are the guys that were still alive back in 2012 that were part of the team that brought the John Deere garden tractor to market. So I did have them autograph this tractor. The reason it's painted red, it was sent out to do testing. John Deere did not want anybody to know they were getting into the lawn and garden market. And so that's why they painted this weird color. It's like a Massey Harris.
Unique for sure. One thing I'm going to tell you to do, I'm going to have you talk about it. Can we go over and kind of talk about the swing shirt? I know these are unique too. It's pretty cool if they have the two seats.
Same Charles back.
Can you explain that for us?
Sure. This is an allied attachment provided through your John Deere dealers. Built by Jenkins Manufacturing. In fact, they're still in business today. It was set up where you could basically convert your tractor, your garden tractor, into a golf cart. Use it on the golf course, and you could still mow with it when you weren't doing that.
Have you ever driven one of these?
I have.
Do you like it?
I do. It's kind of weird, yeah, because you're steering with your right arm and you're doing everything with your left hand.
Okay, you kind of want to highlight too for everybody with Lawn and Garden Magazine, or you guys still put new issues out of that.
We are.
And where can they get a subscription, or how do they subscribe?
Well, they can go to lagt.com and or online, or they can call us at 812-985-0828.
Perfect. We appreciate you chatting here with us, and thanks for teaching everybody some stuff. Thank you. Okay, so we're here with Alan Cliff, like we had him on a podcast a couple weeks ago. He's came down to Classic Green, and he's going to share some of the items that he brought with him.
Glad and welcome that I brought two 1963 with tens to celebrate the 60th anniversary. One sporting a 6-way blade, and the other with its original manufactured deck and a generator. I also brought my 120, sporting a fancy mini scraper soil mover. There's very few of them in existence, which actually surprised to see 3 of them made it out to the show this year. Another 140 54C center blade and a pin core generator on the front of it. That way, if that one doesn't work, you also got the backup of another generator to keep the lights on in the house at night.
There you go. All right, so I know on the podcast we kind of highlighted, are these ones that you bought and did anything to them? Are they all original when you bought them?
63s are pretty much original. This is the way that I found them, just enough to get them running. 120 I've rebuilt from the ground up and put quite a few extra little add-ons to make it cooler in the long run. Actually, my good friend Jepson fully restored this 140. He found that in pieces. So, and this 110 is actually a survivor. My grandfather bought it new at a dealership that my uncle worked at in the 70s. So it's very cool that it's made it this far.
Okay, now, you're at Classic Green.
Yep.
I know there's a lot of lawn and garden things, but what's your highlight?
Definitely the Navy 140.
Yes.
Can't believe they made it here. That's fantastic. Really baffled. That's awesome. Only 4 of them in existence, and 2 of them are here. Amazing.
Do you have anything else outside of lawn and garden?
Seeing the Model C actually in person, that's really cool. And all the high crops.
Yes,
Tons of high crops everywhere. That's awesome.
Well, we thank you again for joining us. Don't forget, you can check out Alan at What's Tractor Knit. Oh my, that was hard. He's got Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all those good things, YouTube. So make sure you look them up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Classic Green Reunion and 23 in Wilson County Fairgrounds in Tennessee, Lebanon, Tennessee. So we're driving through what's called Fiddler's Grove. Some beautiful, beautiful D's here. It's one of the features this year because the D is 100 years old. The first one came out in 1923, and that model ran out through 1953. So it's a pretty important tractor for the John Deere lineup. As we go through here, you're seeing spoker D's. That's the spoke flywheel. Many unstyled. The earlier ones were 2 speeds. Now you get up to, like this one is a electric start style D that could have been newer. It would have a 3-speed transmission. These things all would have started on gasoline and then converted over once we got heat built up, and they run on a low-cost fuel for cheaper work. They're 2 cylinders. The earlier ones were 6.5, I believe, by 7 bore and stroke. Later they went to 6 3/4 by 7. And then there are some renditions of machines put together. And this is would be replicating a W power unit, but in a style. So very cool. Here's a nice example of a restored. Here's a group of earlier D's, 24s, and a little bit newer, so large flywheels, a lot of unrestoreds, beautiful tractors. So we've got a fabulous grounds here. The Wilson County Fairgrounds has got this Fiddler's Grove, and it's full of very old vintage buildings. So there's a blacksmith and a sawmill and log cabins. A couple examples of styled D's. Styled is when the front grille and the radiator have some designs to them, and it just looks a little better with the different fenders too. Just more styling than the old unstyled.
Do you have a preference? Do you like styled over unstyled?
Well, I'm gonna have to say I like unstyled, but
okay.
But I'm not really sure why. It's just how it started out. Maybe because mine's unstyled.
Okay. And what year is yours?
1934.
Okay.
So much more. It's just so sizable compared to the other tractor at that same time, which would have been right here.
Yeah, the 4020. I do like the 4020s.
This is a beautiful
era. There's 20 series tractors for John Deere.
Great looking. There's a 4320, so that's a very cool tractor. So here we have an 8850.
Sorry. You're fine.
This is one of my favorite kind of tractors here. This one has a V8 diesel in that John Deere produced. This is a very nice original example of that. John Deere jumped into the V8 and after a while stopped. Just wasn't the right thing. And then here's an 8020. Clearly in its original paint and dress, and it looks just neat as an old tractor.
It does.
Workhorse. Got some beautiful industrial tractors there in the orange and the yellow dress. ARs and BRs.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't see that in there.
Right inside is a little 40 crawler, 420 crawler with a 68 grain cart. The grain cart's been converted to tracks. Very nice display.
That is cool.
30 series tractors is one of the features this year. So here's a beautiful example of one of my favorites. I'd have to say, I don't know why I like this so much, but the people that know me are laughing right now because I like unstyled and steel wheels and hand start and all, but I really like a 30 Series narrow front with an open station. I think someday I gotta have one.
Yeah. Add it to the bucket list.
And here's another unique piece. A John Deere L converted somehow or another by factory or whatever to a high crop. Here's John Deere 700. This would be the industrial line of John Deere tractors. Some more 30 series, 4455s.
4455 is my favorite.
Is it?
Yep. That's what I grew up with on our farm, so that's always been one of my favorite tractors.
520 LP cotton picker. This is a crazy cool machine for a person that grows up in corn country of Iowa like I am. But here's this cotton picker that you can see it's a 520 LP tractor, but it's turned around, and all these gadgets and contraptions. The engineering's incredible, but you sit up top and you run what's really the factory controls on the tractor, put everything in reverse. And so of course you get the odd feeling of the steering, because when you turn right, your back end kicks out to the left to make that right turn. But these things are really, really cool. The cotton comes in the front. We'll go up there, we can get a picture and a view of that. But it goes up into that hopper. There's a big blower. It actually takes the cotton, it's like you grab a cotton bowl and you pick the pieces off, and then there's a large blower and it blows it up into that hopper. That hopper fills up, it's completely white, and then it tips, that one tips this way up in the air, and it drops all the cotton into the wagon, and then you put that down and you go forward and pick more cotton.
Okay, awesome.
So we'll go up to the front and you can see what that looks like. And yeah, it's one row. Get just far enough to see inside there. See all those, well, they look like big nails.
Yeah, they do.
And there's a whole bunch of spindles in there with all these sharp nails. And as I said, it just reaches in there and it just plucks all the little pieces of cotton off the bowl and puts it up top.
Very cool. And how many did you say are here on the grounds?
We actually have 3 cotton machines, 3 cotton pickers on grounds. We have a 3010 LP, a 520 LP, and then we have a 420 here also.
Okay.
Yep.
You can find all our episode material on our website, oldirongarage.com. We encourage everyone to give us a follow wherever you listen to the Old Iron Talk podcast. Don't forget to submit your collection photos to info@oldirongarage.com to be featured at the end of our episodes. We had such a great time attending Classic Green, and as they say, it really is about the people.